What up? What up? What up? What's going on? How y'all doing? Hopefully all is well. Let me plug my shit real quick, and then we good. There we go. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? My name is Brisbon. If you didn't know, and I got some game for you real quick. Try to do it in less than an hour, but this is about seasons in our lives. And I'm going to read something from Ecclesiastes. It's my favorite book of the Bible. It's full of hella game, hella wisdom. Hella game and hella wisdom. So I'm going to read that. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And this is all about seasons. You know what I'm saying? And I know you guys are in seasons. You know, some of you are up, some of you are down. Some of you are married, some of you are single, some of you are dying. Some of you are getting money, some of you are looking for money. Some of you trying to level up. Some people are on their way down. Whatever season that you're in, it's gonna sound crazy, but even if you on the down, enjoy that shit. Not necessarily enjoy it like it's a good thing, but the process, because you ain't always gonna be down, right? So take it from me. I done been in some very, very interesting spots in my life. You know what I'm saying? And when I look back, I'm like, damn, I wouldn't be the person that I am now had I not gone through that situation. Even the most uncomfortable things and everything that I've been through in my life, it was a season for that shit. You know, it was a season to hurt. It was a season to be insecure. It was a season, even lack. I know that sounds crazy because, especially with new age information, we're always talking about abundance. We're always talking about, you know, thoughts or things and what we deserved. And, you know, but even lack has a season. You know, when you look at a forest fire, you know, beautiful forests, acres of land are burnt to the ground. But then when you come back in 8 years, 10 years, it's bigger and better than ever. So it's a season for that. You know, it's a season for loss. And I'm going to read something that kind of is like confirmation. And what I want to talk to you about is, who are you in your season? You know, who are you when you're going through your process? You know, because the game always comes back full circle, at least in America anyway. Yo, no matter what, living in America, everybody gets a shot. Everybody gets an opportunity. Everybody. You might have a small window that you missed. You might had a phone call you were supposed to follow up with and you didn't. Everybody gets a shot in America. I can't speak for the Congo or Kenya or India, but in America, everybody gets a shot. And depending on your way of thinking is going to determine what type of shot comes your way, right? So after every season, whatever season that you're in, if you down, your next season going to be up, right? If you up, your next season might be down. If you in the middle, your next season might go up, down. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's a season for everything. So I'm going to read from the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, I know based on new age information, you know, a lot of people can't really get into the Bible. And, you know, the Bible has left a bad taste in their mouth. I understand that. I get it. But you got to understand something. The Bible, like anything in life, is a tool. It's just a book. All right. And if you know how to read the Bible, you'll understand it. Now, I know people, depending on what your information base is, you can't get into it, Jesus, da da da. What you can do is replace the figures with you, right? So instead of saying David versus Goliath, insert your name. Instead of saying Jesus' name, insert your name or insert one of your ancestors. Instead of saying Jonah, insert your name, because those things that are happening to them, which is all parables, which is all just stories, concepts, but insert your name. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are just tools. And you might be, because of anger, missing out on a lot of gems because you're hurt, right? The Bible, just like every other thing in the world, is just a tool. It's going to experience duality based on the user. It's the user who's using it. Just like water. Water can be used. In the 60s, people were hosed down. I don't see people having an issue with water. Okay. Cars, every day a drunk driver has an accident, but that same car takes someone to meet the love of their life. You feel me? All things can be used in dual purposes. So don't throw it out. You know what I'm saying? Don't throw the book out. Embrace the book, but just insert your name if you have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? You can be John the Baptist. Take John the Baptist's name and out and put your name in there, right? You can be preparing the way for somebody that's gonna come through with some fire. You can be Noah. Yo, you warned everybody about gentrification and no one took heed, and now look at the hood, right? Anybody, any name you can think of, you can insert your name, and that's what it's for. You know what I'm saying? So the best way to teach human beings is conceptually. Okay? So I had to put it together like that so I can read the Bible to you, right? So Ecclesiastes is my favorite book in the Bible, right? I'm not religious or anything. I'm a student. So if you're a real student, then you know how to take the meat and spit out the bone. All right? So Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 through 8, and this is about seasons. And if you never heard this before, listen clear, and then you can take what I'm saying and apply it to your life, because everything under the sun, there's a season for that. You ready? Okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 through 8, right? Listen. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under the sun, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. You see the polarity going on? You see the for this there's always that? Okay? Now you don't have to like the Bible. That's hard to debate though, because there's a season for every single thing that goes on under the sun. Believe it or not, there's a season for racism. There's a season for oppression. There's a season for healing. There's a season for love. There's a season for hate. There's a season to get money. There's a season where you fall off. There's a season where you thotting. Then a season when you healing. You feel me? So in your life, a lot of the times we live with this crazy guilt. We got this guilt, you know, we don't like our past. Maybe we was hoeing, maybe we was slinging, maybe we was gang banging, right? Right now we call it the lower self. You know, we like to talk about the lower self a lot. But there's a season for that. And that lower nature that we're talking about, that's our human body. Believe it or not, your things that you love, the things that you care about, the things that you desire is based on your lower self. If people really want to go to their higher self, then everything that's important to you in your life, you'll abandon it. Because if you really go to your higher self, we're talking about frequency and degrees, because the higher self is the mind. And if we really stay on some higher self shit, you won't have time to have sex. You won't have time to eat. You won't have time to kick it with your loved ones. You won't have time to love your children and none of that, because we're talking about mind. We're talking about spirit. Spirits are indifferent to love and the things that go on in the human experience. So you might want to show a little more reverence to your lower self, because your lower self is creating all your best memories. Your lower self is the thing that you're most ashamed of, and the thing that you're most the thing that you're very upset about. Everybody's talking about their higher self, and I'm like, you don't even know what that is, right? Because the mind represents heaven on earth. The body is earth, right? The mind is heaven on earth, right? This portion right here in Highlander, they cut the head off. Okay, back in the day, it was you cut someone's head off. When you sever the head, you sever heaven from the body. Okay, there's a season for every single thing, even when you got raped, even when you got molested, even when you walked in the door and see your father punch your mama in the face. All that, made you who you are right now. If you know how to transmute those experiences into a story, okay, that needed to happen, or else you would be normal. You don't want to be normal, and you don't want to have common sense. The matrix functions on common sense. That means everybody knowing the same thing, right? But the geniuses that we study, the innovators that we study, they didn't function off common sense. Einstein didn't have common sense. If he had common sense, there would be no way for him to challenge Isaac Newton. Okay? An astrophysicist is not dealing with common sense. Elon Musk is not dealing with common sense. Jeff Bezos is not dealing with common sense. You feel me? So you don't want to deal with common sense. You don't necessarily want to be normal. And what you're doing is you're making a huge mistake about your life path and your experiences, because you're ashamed of the things that happened to you. You're ashamed that you took the L's. You're ashamed of your family background. And trust me, I know it well. I come from straight. I usually call it trash, but it's straight treasure in those experiences, because you change one thing, you change everything, right? So if I change the things that made me uncomfortable, if I change the things that made me experience discomfort and my trauma and my pain, if I change that one thing, I change everything. That means I change the people who are in my life right now. That means I change the people that I connect with, it change the things I know and the things I like. That ugly is important. And what it did is, if you embrace it, it sets you on a course to be the ones that lead tomorrow. Normal people are not for the future. Normal people are followers. It's the people that come from the traumatizing experiences that are supposed to carry it across for the whole planet, because your soldiers are strong enough. The scriptures just said, it's a time of love and a time of war, a time for hate, a time for peace. It was a time for you to experience pain, but instead of feeling like a victim, instead of feeling like life is picking on you and taking it personal, that's the narrative. Everybody wants to vent. Everybody wants to talk about their pain and their hurt. But you got to do that moving forward, though. Matter of fact, don't even move forward, move vertical. Have vertical movement. You know what I'm saying? So you talk about those experiences. You talk about those experiences in a movie, in a blog, on an album, in poetry, in your book, in your seminar, teach. Take those experiences, those seasons, and expand on it. Because I'm a firm believer, as much bullshit as you've been through, you were something before you got here. You was some type of consciousness before you got here. It wasn't random. You was going to be born to somebody, okay? Because we have to manifest ourselves here. You know what I'm saying? Because so you picked your mama, you picked your daddy, you picked the experiences that you were going to go through. So you were something before you were here. So you was like, all right, just imagine this. Just imagine you doing this on the other side. You know what? Yeah, let me get her and him, they were going to be my daddy. And you know what? Let me get that rape right there. Let me get that prison right there. Let me get that molestation. Sounds crazy, right? But it takes you out of victim mode. Victimology is a people are buying into. You know what I'm saying? And it's for mind control. You know what I'm saying? And when you buy into that victim narrative, you're creating a reality for yourself. And everywhere you go, you're going to create that shit. You come on social media, you're a victim. You go on Twitter, you're a victim. Your timeline shows what you are on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Even the pictures you take, your camera and your address bar in your phone knows that you're a victim. Everything you see in life is going to be pain and torment. Forever, right? Instead of transmuting those experiences like you're supposed to, you picked them. Because guess what? It's a season for everything. Let me read it again. Listen close. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, 1 through 8. To everything there's a season, right? To everything. It says everything. It doesn't say some things. It says everything there's a season. Right? Even the most heinous, weirdo, the things you see going on in the planet, there is a season for that. Okay? It says, to everything there is a season. Not some things, or not, no, to everything there's a season. A time for every purpose under the sun. Look at how the shit starts. To everything there's a season. A time for every purpose under heaven. Excuse me, not the sun. To everything there's a season. Then it comes right back, just in case you like, no. It checks you like, nah, nigga. A time for every purpose under heaven. Every purpose, right? A time to be born. A time to die. Look at how it just, watch the polarity. A time to plant. A time to pluck what is planted, right? A time to kill. And a time to heal. Kill what? Kill what? What if what if black on black crime is necessary? What if it's necessary? What if the niggas that die represent the weaker of the species? You ever thought about that? I know that's your cousin. I know that's your uncle that happened to. But what if the people that are dying for a reason because they don't fit the model of where the species is going? It's a time to die, right? A time to be born, a time to die. It's a time to kill. What if your loved one or you represent that time? Are you mad? Are you angry? There's a time for all things under the sun, right? If I go outside tomorrow and something happens to me, I'm part of that time. Just because I'm Ken and I do Facebook videos and people think I'm cool and I'm a friend, what does that have to do with season? Right? Nothing. That's our human experience. I'm part of this story too. You're part of this story too. My child that's sleep in the room, he part of this story too. We're not immune to this shit. Do you understand? It says to everything there's a season, a time for every purpose under the sun. So whatever happens to me in life, I can do all my namastes all I want. It's a season and a time for everything. A time to be born, a time to die, right? When somebody is dying, somebody's being born, period, okay? A time to plant and a time to pluck up, right? That means it's a time to save and it's a time to spend. A lot of us be out of season. A lot of us are out of season, right? Because we don't understand that all things under the sun, under the heavens, has a time. You can't be one way. You just can't be love and light all the time. No, there's a time for hate and dark. There's a time for you to not fuck with people. There's a time for you to be on some bullshit. There's a time for that, right? There's a time for you to isolate yourself from people. Like, yo, you know what? I ain't fucking with nobody right now. There's a time for that. There's a time for you to be selfish. There's a time for you to be narcissistic. There's a time for that. There's a time for you to turn up. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I ain't never drunk or smoked in my whole life. What does that mean, though? What does that mean, though? It doesn't mean anything. Because guess what? There's a time to turn up. What the scripture say? A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. Black people be like, all we do is tear each other down. Yo, you building them up? It's a time for a motherfucker to be tore down. Why? Because they got to build some type of resolve to handle that shit. If you don't want to be tore down, don't try to rise up. What do you think this game is about? This is life. You feel me? If you are going up vertically, then that means you're in a position to come down. And if you don't want that, then don't go up. Period. If you don't want no one coming for you, coming for your mama, coming for your baby, yo, go in the closet. You feel me? Go to church. But there's a time for people to be on your helmet. There's a time for scandal. Now, how do you bounce back? Because once you take out your sword and you handle that, that time goes away. You need to be tested. You need to be challenged. You need to go down through there, right? You need to experience people coming at your neck because there's a time for that. There's a season for that. It makes sense, right? A time to weep and a time to cry. No, I'm sorry. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, right? To me, that sounds like, yo, you ain't always got to be on no family shit. You know what I'm saying? You embrace and then refrain from embracing when you need it. And it's a time for that. And you might give people an explanation. You might not. But whatever you're doing, it's a time for that. Okay? A time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain, and a time to lose. So while you in the corner and you're crying and you're screaming out, woe is me, and you're talking about being oppressed, what if what you're going through is just the season? Now, if you don't look at it like that, you're going to be stuck there because every season has an opening. And if you're not aware of the come up, and if you're not aware of the opening, you're going to miss out on your exit, right? Every season there's some type of exit. There's a door that opens. And if you so stuck in that season, taking it personally, like life just singled you out, man, listen, you're going to miss that window. Check this out. When you're watching Discovery Channel, do you feel sympathy for that deer that's getting ate by the lion? Nah. Is life singling them out? Sure ain't. When you got a bug in your crib and you step on it, you don't have that same concept like life is singling them out. Yo, that's all part of the story. You know what I'm saying? You eat chicken, you eat beef. Is life singling these animals out, or they're just made for your consumption? Okay, so if they can be part of the story and they ain't bitching and they ain't moaning and they ain't complaining, who the fuck are you? Life don't owe you shit. You feel me? You are a germ. Do you get it? You are a germ, and the thing that separates you from the rest of the nature is consciousness. But you are a germ. You started out as someone's balls. Let's be clear. All right? You're not as special as you think you are. And what you think you deserve, that's all about season. Nature knows best. Right? Now, you can put as much mentalism into the universe and you can set your shit up on probability that you have some type of favor, but at the end of the day, you ain't shit. And you're part of this season and you're part of this story, and everybody got their day. You feel me? So what you want to do is while you're going through these things, figure out a way to capitalize on your experience and turn your pain to profit. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silent. A time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. Yo, this dealt with every extreme possible. A time to hate. A time to kill. A time for war. This is the Bible I'm reading. This is not me making shit up. This is the Bible that I'm reading. And I know y'all are in your rebellious stage, but you grew up in a church with your grandmama. Don't even front, right? This is the Bible I'm reading. The book of Ecclesiastes. Okay? So it's a time to hate. And it's a time of war. And it's a time to push people away. And it's a time to turn up. But then it's a time to let people in. And it's a time for peace. And it's a time for detoxing the body. All those things are part of the story. I don't give a damn how sober your ass is. You will die. I'm not telling you to go do anything wild, but I'm telling you whatever you do, there's a season for that. Now, with seasons comes moderation. Yes, there is a time to experience pain, but you got to figure out how to balance that. It's also a time for abundance. You also got to figure out how to balance that. Like if you are super duper balling right now, you know how you balance that feeling of being up? Take a walk through the cemetery sometimes so it can level you out, right? Or just take a walk through Skid Row in LA. Somewhere like that. So it balances you out, okay? Even when you at your most poor, you need balance, right? So break off half of your sandwich and give it to somebody more fucked up than you. That's balance. You know what I'm saying? Because in all seasons, you still need moderation, right? Because you don't want the scale to tip. What you want to be in is the fairness of nature. Okay? So even if I am struggling, my struggle is no different than the rest of nature. All things in nature are struggling to survive. When you look at a lion get its meal, it hasn't ate in a few days. An anaconda doesn't eat every single day, right? They're going through the struggle, right? So the reason why you balance out all things is because you don't want to be going through an unnatural struggle. An unnatural struggle is a self-inflicted struggle because nothing in nature can undermine itself except man, right? Man is the only thing in nature that can sabotage itself. That's an unnatural struggle. Natural struggle is just chance and risk. Unnatural struggle is your mind playing tricks on you. That doesn't happen to anything else in nature except man. Man is the only species on the planet that can undermine its own being. Man is the only thing that can go against self-preservation because man doesn't understand, in all man's smartness and genius potential, man doesn't understand season. Man doesn't understand season, right? Man doesn't understand the difference between natural struggle and self-inflicted struggle. There's a difference, right? Natural struggle based on season, it will pass. It will pass. But self-inflicted struggle can be for a lifetime because it's unnatural. Okay? Everything dealing in the natural will have a season and it's going to change. Nature tells me this. It does not rain in one spot forever. Eventually, the sun will come out. The sun doesn't shine in one spot forever. Eventually, even if in Death Valley, even in the Sahara, yeah, it's hot. Eventually, it will rain, right? Season. So you want to identify the season that you're in and figure out what a win looks like in that season. Okay, don't just say you want to be better. That's vague. What does that look like? Okay, because if it's natural struggle that you're going through, then you want the next season that you experience to be times 10 of what you're going through. So you want to be specific, because guess what? Your time is coming. Your time is up next, right? So you want to make sure that you're specific about the direction that you want to go in with your life. And you just can't say, I want money. Money, it's numbers. It doesn't stop. How much? By what time frame? How much you want to make a month? How much you want to make a year? And by doing what? Be a little specific. Be a little surgical with your pursuits. Don't just say, I want love. What kind of love? You could get love from a dog, from a cat. What kind of love? Be specific, as if love has a texture, as if love has a color and a shape to it. Be a little more specific, because guess what? Your season of being unloved is going to change into a season of love based on what I just read, unless it's an unnatural struggle that you're putting yourself through, which is you're in your own mind. And the mind is a hell of a playground, a hell of a hotel to live in, because there's so many doors. Door number 1 is stress. Door number 2 is depression. Door number 3 is trauma. Door number 4 is something from the past. You don't want those problems, fam, because you'll look up, holy shit, I'm 65 years old. Where the hell did my life go? You've been hanging out in your head this whole time. Life been going by, right? Experiencing mild or severe cases of schizophrenia and not even knowing it. You understand? Most people that are dealing, in my opinion, I'm not no doctor or anything, just from observation, most people are experiencing some form of schizophrenia or some type of dementia, because of what's going on in their own mind. They cannot get over what happened in 1989. Right? Now we're dealing with unnatural struggle, okay? Natural struggle is you was born to the parents you were born to, bullshit happened to you. That's natural struggle, because you couldn't control it. Even though you chose it in the spirit realm, in the physical, you couldn't control it. That was natural struggle. Now, the purpose of natural struggle is on the back end. You got to take it. Okay. Just imagine bagging up weed. Not that I would know anything about that. I seen it on TV. But just imagine bagging up weed. You take the weed. The weed is your experiences. Okay? Your struggle. Right? That's the weed. So you take the weed, break it up. Right? So when you take your struggle, your life, and you break it up in portions. This was this season. This was that season. You put it in a grinder. Bang, bang, bang. You take the bag. The bag is the vehicle. So whether blogging, whether movies, whether poetry, music, theater, whatever you are into, your hobby, painting, right? So the weed is the struggle. I gotta put it in the concept for you stoner niggas, right? So the weed is the struggle, right? You take the weed and you put it in a bag. The bag is the vehicle. And then you sell it. That was the purpose of the struggle. That's what you have it for. So a lot of you are sitting and you in a bad space. You're dealing with unnatural struggle. You're dealing with things that your mind is creating. A lot of you are in a bad space. You don't know your next move. What am I going to do? I'm about to be 30. I'm about to be 35, 40. Oh my God. I'm a divorced woman. I'm an amputee. Whatever's going on with you, you don't know what tomorrow looks like. And you're feeling down on yourself, feeling down. And you don't know the shit that you're going through is your testimony. It's your story. 1 million people want to hear what you have to say. You cannot tell me, let's shrink it. Let's be small-minded for a second. Let's deal in basic 3D reality. Small vision. You can't tell me that there's not 10,000 people in the world that don't want to hear what you have to say. Are you tripping? Right? Are you saying that there's not 10,000 people in the world that don't want to hear about your divorce? You telling me there's not 10,000 people in the world that don't hear about when you was gangbanging or when you was hustling or hell, your journey through college? You know what I'm saying? That grind. You know, how to work a full-time job and get straight A's at an Ivy League school. You don't have to word it like that, but you can't tell me there's not 10,000 people that want to know how to do that. You're sitting on some fire, right? No one wants to hear you vent. Do you want to hear me get on here and talk about me being black and my dad was an alcoholic and my mom was crazy and I'm struggling? You want that? Like, that's what you into? Or you want to hear me say, you know what? I took my motherfucking experiences and I started making ebooks and man, you feel me? No one cares. That's what Sonny from Bronx Tale said. At the end of the day, nobody cares. People, you think they care, but your venting is their entertainment. They're entertained by your trauma. They're entertained by your pain. Why? You're giving it away for free. You're just venting on Facebook. See, man, I'm tired of motherfuckers. Always, da-da-da. And then you always want to tell somebody you ain't fucking with nobody no more. Blah. Move around, ho. Man, listen. Take the shit, put it in a bag, slang it. Just shrink it all the way down, especially if you got a job, you got secure income. But you about to get some income tax. So how much money from your income tax are you going to put to package your trauma, to package your pain, and turn it into profit? How much money are you going to blow and trick off on yourself? Instead of buying the new Chrysler 300 with the temp tags that's going to get repossessed by the summer because you really can't afford it, so don't stunt for niggas. Don't do that. Instead of that, blow all the money writing your book. Blow all the money developing your website. Blow all the money taking your experience, your season, and making it something meaningful and making it something that matters. Stop playing, because I know what you're going to do with your money for income tax season. Spend it with me, because there's a season for that. There's a season for that. So look, the scriptures is very, very clear, right? It's very clear. Listen, there's a time, to everything, there's a season. So while you in your baby feelings asking why this and why that, why the preacher got a nice house and why the preacher got a nice car, because it's a time for that. I'm sorry. Yo, people getting molested. There's a time. To everything, there's a season. Hey, this is not my personal feelings. A time for every purpose. Everything. Murder, all the crazy shit you could think about in the world. The Bible says there's a season for that. To everything, the Bible say it's a time to hate and a time of war. You know what I'm saying? The hotline is 888-565-8734. That is the Nothing But Game hotline for this one young lady that I just seen right there. You caught my eye. So for everything, there is a season. So nobody is being picked on. Nobody being picked on. Now, so let's take it a step further. The magician, sorcerer, warlock, witch. You know, everybody on social media is a witch now. If you're a witch, sis, you can't talk about fuckboys. You can't talk about toxic masculinity. That's not witch talk, okay? Because when you're dealing with magic, we're going to step further now. You create the season mentally, okay? You tap full into the power of belief and mentalism and focus and intention, okay? So, the things that happen to you, now I gave you the Bible version, there's a season for everything. That's true. But on a mystical side of things, the master magician or hermeticist takes it a step further and says, you know what? That's true on basic 3D, but 4D, 5D, 6D, my poles don't have to switch like that. It doesn't have to be a time of war and a time for hate. I can exist primarily in a season full of love because I created it. Now, that's the advanced class, though. What I was just talking about, season for everything, which is true, is basic 3D. And most people, the majority of people, are gonna exist on basic 3D. You know what I'm saying? Basic 3D. Right? Right. So, but there's another step to that, though. The other step to that is the advanced version of, you creating the season. You know what I'm saying? And that deals with the Kabbalion and rhythm. It's one of the 7 laws of hermetics of rhythm. And the pole moving back and forth from hot to cold, cold to hot, hot to cold, up, down, up. And being able to, as soon as it comes in the middle, freezing it and then holding it there and creating your own season. You know what I'm saying? This is how the Rothschilds don't fall off. This is how the Queen of England don't fall off. We're talking about people that fund wars. We're talking about people that do a lot of dirt. However, they control karma. Karma doesn't happen to them. Now, in the first portion I'm talking about in seasons, karma is happening. Life is happening, right? But there's another level of mentalism and thought, right? That is stronger, okay? And that is where you control the season and you control the karma. You know how people be like, karma gonna get you? That's people with no power. You know what I'm saying? Karma happens to people that don't have power. Powerful people create karma, meaning that I can do something bad to you and something good to me is gonna come from it. What you know about that kind of power and that kind of magic, where I can harm you, I can straight steal from you and do fucked up shit to you and nothing happened to me. In fact, all the negative shit is gonna happen to you. You know how I know? Black people went through slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, some of the worst conditions in human history, and have bad luck. Meanwhile, the people that do shit to them, nothing happens to them. Why is that? Explain that to me. Explain to me how the people that were rich 200 years ago are still rich. And people that was poor 200 years ago are still poor. How does that happen? Somebody knows some magic and somebody don't. Somebody knows some powerful, powerful affirmations and somebody don't. At the end of the day, when something happens, a generation is 30 years. When something keeps occurring every single generation, you have to remove yourself and be like, what's going on here? This is powerful. You know what I'm saying? This is something big. Like, how is this fucking happening, right? It's those people are controlling the season and controlling the karma. Meanwhile, the people that bullshit is happening to is existing in the first type of season that I was talking about. Now, that first type of season is a real season, but it is a 3D reality season of when you don't have power. Right? Now, this is natural, right? So it's 3 levels. So you have natural season, then you have unnatural season, which is a season where you go against your self-preservation, and then you have another season where you manipulate what's natural. Copy? You can manipulate what's natural, right? Because the natural scale in life is a time to keep silent, a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time to war, a time for peace, a time to be born, and a time to die. That's the natural season. Then you have the unnatural season where people get in their own mind and they go against their own self-preservation. That's unnatural, right? Then you have another season or another level where you manipulate what's natural, right? You manipulate, instead of a time of war, a time for hate, you could be like, time for abundance, and that's it. I'll never fall off. How do we know? The Rockefeller family, this is how them girls be clapping in your face? What they be saying? Okay, let me do it. The Rockefeller family is still balling. Ain't that how they be clapping with the emojis? The Bill Gates family is gonna be balling 200, 300, 400 years from now. Right? European bloodlines is still getting money. Right? Ain't that how the girls clap? Right? The house of Rothschild is still controlling finances. Right? The house of Saud is still controlling the oil. No matter what you pray to. Okay? Straight up. So, what you want to figure out is, what part of what I'm saying are you going to exist in? Now, you can exist in the first portion of season that dealt with that polarity, where natural things is just controlling you. You can. Or you can deal in the middle of unnatural seasons where you are sabotaging your own life. Now remember, nothing in nature sabotages itself except man. Okay? Nothing in nature goes against its best interest. Right? A hungry lion is going to eat you. It's not going to be like, you know what, I like you, you cool. None of that shit. It's going to eat you. Man will be like, you know what, nah, dog, you my dude. That's against self-preservation. Right? And then you have another level of what? I'm repeating it back so you can understand, overstand what I'm saying, that you manipulate nature to where you can live a life until you die of fuck shit not happening to you. That is very possible. You don't ever have to be broke again. You don't ever have to be down in the dumps again. Now, of course, every day is not going to be top shelf, but what happens is you'll raise your floor to where your version of struggle is, damn, man, I'm down to my last 5 million instead of my last $5. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, look at it like that. You got to raise your floor, right? You have to create a new standard of what you consider broke. You know what I'm saying? Instead of I'm down to my last $10, let's raise the floor. Like, damn, yo, I'm down to my last 250,000. I'm tripping. Fuck. Right? Those are problems that you want to have. You don't have to get sick. You don't have to when you start manipulating what is natural. Okay? You know? It's highly possible. We see it all day because the people that are winning Many of them, father was winning, their mother was winning, their grandparents were winning, and they just continue the winning culture. A lot of us, come from generational Section 8. Now, how is that possible? That's what I'm talking about, of operating in unnatural, where you pass something unnatural to another person, to your downline. And what you're saying is the state takes care of us for generations because we can't take care of ourselves. That is unnatural, and that is against self-preservation. Okay? So we need a thinking shift. That middle one, everybody can't do the latter, the last one, because that deals with super mentalism, total objectivity. You cannot really have a emotional connection, right? Because you're dealing with pure mental, right? Most people are going to fall in the first type of what I'm talking about. What did that say? There's a season. Now, you should have a problem with this. To everything there's a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. You should hear that and automatically want to go to manipulating nature, because you don't want yourself to be available for everything to happen to you. It says, to everything there's a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. You don't want to be a part of that, right? It's a contradiction, but it's a good contradiction, because I know I said something earlier, so I'm meaning to contradict myself, because for this, there's that. These are contradictions. To live, then to die. To love, then to hate. It's like, oh, right? But they're extremes, right? You know what I'm saying? They're extremes, and they're necessary, but it's balance. Balance is contradiction, because at the end, the middle is balancing, but at the end is two total opposites of each other that are the same thing. You know what I'm saying? A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. See, this is the natural flow of life, but you have no control. You have no control. These are natural things that are going to happen to you. You're going to cry, you're going to mourn, then you're going to smile. But when you deal and start manipulating nature, you start to determine when you cry, how you cry, if you cry, when you die. You could determine when you die, and you say what it is. Especially right now, because we're living in virtual reality. So you are a coder, and you can code your reality. You know what I'm saying? You can code your reality. All right? So if you want to follow up with me, my number is 888-565-8734. And my number is 24/7. If I hear it, that's the bat phone. I'm getting up. Also, if you didn't cop Dealings Over Feelings, you can by following that link below, and get it right now, because it's the full for 20. So you get Dealings Over Feelings, Ladies Night, 10 Steps to Maximum Self-Confidence, and you get the No Squares Allowed album for the 20. And I got the Whole Rules coming out in the next 2 weeks. I'm just finishing that up. And it's straight game, and for the ladies, it's called The Whole Rules. Alright? So, seasons. Where you at? You dealing with the natural, you dealing with the unnatural, or you dealing with the manipulation? So I hope that the way I said it the way that it was in my mind. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that you got something from it and you delivered it. So do me a favor. If you can't purchase none of my shit, do me the next best thing. Tell one of your friends about me. Tell them to like the page. Do that for me. All right? So until next time, seasons. Which one are you in? I'll get with you. Peace.